that make me take twice as long on my walks. But this is how you get to see all the things. If you're on a bicycle, if you're going by fast, you're never going to have those opportunities to stop and have a look around. So I will be honest, I'm going to be putting in a full review. The first 3 days when I arrived to this island, between the taxi mafia, which ride horses, something like that, and the garbage and the destruction of the reefs, the corals, I'll show you. The beach is just kind of littered with them. I have to say, I rather disliked heavily this island. While it is still not my favorite place, staying longer, seeing the rest of the island, meeting some of the inhabitants, helped me really get a full understanding of the island itself. There definitely is a lot of things that I do not agree with. Mass tourism has been here for a very long time, and it is not a sustainable tourism. That is part of the things that I struggled with here, whether I was actually going to spend even my full book time. But I did decide, ultimately, as I always do, to spend the time planned. So that was 8 full days. I'm on my last one. I have gone to all the restaurants. I have looked at the resorts. I have walked the beaches. I have barely swam, to be honest with you. I didn't even blow up my stand-up paddleboard here. But I will on the next island to really get a full understanding of Gili Air. It is a lot of people's absolute favorite island in the world, and quite frankly, that was a quandary for me. I didn't understand why it would be anybody's favorite island. But underneath it all is absolutely beautiful place. The topography of this region is absolutely mind-blowing, and I'm actually researching it all the time, and this is part of it. It is on a very shallow shelf, all of these islands, including Lombok on one side. So that's why you get the coral reefs that are so easy to see. Seagrass is everywhere, which is why there is so many turtles here. But to one side, between Lombok and Bali, there is the Lombok Strait, and that is the deepest strait in the entire world, and the evolutionary line between Indonesia and Australia. So it's an absolutely fascinating area. I can see why people have been attracted here for decades and decades, and I can see why it's become over tourism, mass tourism. It needs to be sustainable, and that's kind of the problem here, is that they haven't figured out how to make their tourism sustainable. At this point, it's just, there has been actually a big transformation since I arrived and how the island looks today. I had actually taken a video and done this walk already, and the island was trashed. There was so much trash everywhere. It was a bit of a negative video, so I actually deleted it and decided to wait until I had my full week here to really give you a true idea and some of the positives, as well as some of the challenges that the island face. It is an absolutely beautiful island. It's very flat. There is some vegetation in the middle, but it is made for tourists. It is made for people to come here, to sit here at the edge and have their nightly dinners. Very, very much tourism centered and not sustainable yet. So there was actually a beach cleanup, which probably helped with these looks last week or earlier this week, and they did a great job, and I guess the locals joined in because everything looks way, way more clean than it did. Mind you, it is definitely not gone. There is a lot of trash here and a lot of destruction. But for the most part, for the tourist part, for now, it looks really, really nice. So let's head out to the beach. It's slightly cloudy right now. I can show you one of the famous swings. There are many. I thought there was one swing. You see them back down? I'll flip it over in a second. There are many swings. Some are on the water, some are on the sand, and they're definitely tourist magnets. Let's give you a little walk on the sand as we go. Today we do have a bit of waves. It is very, very shallow though. Sometimes it's calm. And this is actually one of the snorkeling points here. I'm going to go back up into some of the shade. I absolutely love the sun, but living in it 24/7 makes me more comfortable in the shade. So I usually walk with my shade umbrella or my hoodie. So for today's walk, I wanted to kind of avoid that because it's a little hard to have my coffee, my umbrella, and my little prop here. So I'm going very early morning to give you an idea of what it looks like, what you can see, what you can expect when you come to Gili. One of the things that we haven't seen yet is the horse and carts. So they are the only way to get around and to get to your place with luggage. And they usually stay at the ports, and they will, you can see kind of tracks coming through. So it's bicycle and horse carts. There is some beautiful, healthy horses here. There's a lot of history behind the horses. They do horse races on certain days of the week. But that was also one of the things that I absolutely broke my heart when I first arrived. So not only did I have to deal with the dreaded taxi mafia, which I hate in any country, I don't care, I'm going to put it out there. It seems to attract the scum of the earth. I have some friends that are taxi drivers. Not everybody's the same, but if we're going to lump them together, the predominant is to screw over anybody that comes and doesn't know what they're doing. And that's not only here in Indonesia, it is everywhere in the world mostly. But the problem was, I'm going to show you the good stuff, I'm going to show you the bad stuff. There's just stuff everywhere. Is that some of the horses are obviously not taken care of. You can see their ribs, you can see the way the owners mistreat them. And even though maybe 80-85% of the horses are looked after, what stands out is the 15% that are not, that are overworked, that are obviously not looked after. One of them was like foaming at the mouth a little bit, and up went 4 giant fat tourists with all their stuff, their gear on top, and this poor little horse being whipped along the paths here. So that was part of my introduction to Gili Air, which is part of the reason of my feelings at the beginning, and that has not gone away. but it has been tempered by other things. I still think there is a lot of work to be done. The tourists and the locals. It is not just a tourist problem, although we definitely need to take responsibility. It's the locals. They are stewards of this land, and they should be absolutely thrilled that they get to live here and safeguard it. They have spectacular nature. You can see, like right now, I'm going through a wooded area. These are my favorite areas, the ones that have been abandoned and have been allowed to kind of regrow into the lush places that they once were. I can't even imagine how mind-blowingly amazing these islands must have been when people first encountered them. I don't even know the timeline. It must have been over 100 years ago. Yeah, you would never want to leave. There are 3 little dots in the ocean, all within boating distance of each other, very close to the mainland of Lombok. Just pristine gems. You see these flowers? So this is one of the abandoned places where nature has been allowed to regrow back. Some of the places closed because of COVID. Some of them closed for other reasons. But these are my absolute favorite spots. They are lush again. They're filled with, hello, beautiful birds. Oh my goodness, what are you? I don't know these birds. There's also snakes here and toads and things like that, so I'm not going to be walking in. I've tried to learn my lessons as I go. Yesterday, actually, telling you the story. So yesterday, actually, when I was at a new restaurant, usually I go to ZZZ. Cheers, guys. They're awesome, but they were super busy, so I went to a restaurant just across from them to have dinner, so it wasn't so busy. And I saw the cats, which there is a billion cats here, and they were harassing something. And it wasn't something small because they kept going back. And I decided to stand up and go see what the heck they were doing. And I was very glad that I did, because the poor tokay lizard, one of the ones with the red and blue spots, man, they had mauled that thing. It had lost its tail, but it was still alive. So I scared off the cats, and I, without really much thought, picked up the lizard to bring him to safety. He, of course, got scared that somebody picked him up off the ground, so he bit my finger. Because he was scared, thank God he didn't have big teeth. I got him off my finger, and he sat on my lap for the duration of my dinner, which was probably about 45 minutes. I was actually going to take him home to my hotel and release him so he would be away from the bajillion cats that were there. But he got his mojo together at the end, and he climbed down my leg and went up onto one of the walls and seemed to be happy there. So there is nature here. There is geckos, there is baby monitor lizards, but ocean life really is where it's at. And right around the island of Gili, about 100 feet out, there is a reef, or what's left of it. The rest of it has washed up on the shore as dead corals. That was another thing that kind of broke my heart around the island, and I'll give you a look at it as well, because it's absolutely everywhere. Is that there are just mounds and mounds of broken and dead coral, and especially if it's where a boat docks, there's just mountains of it, and you can see that it's fresh and colorful, and people walk by and they're like, ooh, that's so nice. It's not really. It's not nice because that means it's been freshly broken and that the boats are not taken care of. And I have seen that for myself. I went out on a snorkeling trip on a public boat. I barely took any pictures. There was 20 people on the boat, one guide, and it was a shit show. We were not the only boat. There's probably about 10 boats that met us at each spot. And at one point, because nobody was listening, 20 to 1 is you're never gonna make it happen. I'm a guide myself. And there was other boats. I was swimming and there were so many boats, they weren't paying attention. I almost got a propeller to the head. That was my big wake-up call to be very, very, very careful, extra careful, because they didn't care that there was like 100 people snorkeling. They come in real close and they start up their engines with people like right beside them. Not only that, my guide at one point and the owner of the boat stood up himself on the coral reef, flippers and all, yelling at everybody to get closer. I was in complete shock, and not in a good way. I didn't say anything because one person on a boat in a foreign country, I didn't say anything at the time, but my mouth just like dropped open. They were very kind. I mean, I lost my bag and they went and retrieved it for me because I was really stressed out that my wallet and passport had been lost because I left it at my hotel. And they did go back and get it for me. But they also stood dead on the coral reef, providing an absolute horrid example for everyone else. And if he did it that day, it's done every day. It's just sustainability, stewardship is one of the things that definitely needs to be taken more seriously. It may be an island full of tourists, but it is a spectacular natural place as well. Home to turtles, manta ray sharks, just one of the beautiful places of the world that's been overrun with too many tourists in a non-sustainable way. Definitely lots of improvement, and it can be done, absolutely, with putting the efforts in between everybody instead of walking by and saying, oh, we loved it, except, or oh, just walking by, you see what you want to see. All these things are here. I see the posts. They're maddening, actually, on some of these groups. People, oh, it's my favorite island, it's the best in the world, don't criticize it. There's definitely great things about it, but you can't just dismiss the mass destruction, the non-sustainability, the problems of the island. They need to be addressed for future generations. This is the livelihood of the locals as well. Absolutely, I realize that. I am in tourism, but I am not the type to walk by and just say everything is wonderful when it is definitely not wonderful. There's a lot of problems here. So yes, it's a beautiful island to come and holiday, spend 2 or 3 nights, which most people do. Get your drink on, which it is hard to find drinks here, but they are available. Get your spa on, get your beach on, ignore all the rubble around you, and then go home, and that's the end. The places that I visit, I have a vested interest in. I want to see them do well. I see the beauty of the island. I see that so many things could be done to make it savable for the next generations. So that is my greatest wish about the Gili Islands so far, is that things change, that the tourists that the locals put some real effort into repairing some of the damage that's been lost, maybe limiting the amount of people that are allowed to come onto the island. I come from the land of Pura Vida, Costa Rica, where sustainability is it. Nature is important, and it's hard to see when it's treated just as a commodity here. But back to the beautiful things now that I've had my rant. We are getting to one of the most beautiful parts of the island. So I thought where I stayed was the best, but I'm going to tell you that indeed this side that is closer to Lombok and the sunrise, which I said I was going to wake up and see this morning, is actually the best part of the island. It's also a little bit more expensive. There's a few more resorts, but it is spectacular. It has amazing views of Lombok. You can actually ride your bike down most of these because they are hard beaten paths. You can see you can get beachside, beachfront accommodation. Most places have a pool. I have to say, this is the land that has transformed me into a pool lover. I would never, ever, ever go into pools before. And the water is actually quite warm here, by the way. I have not spent a ton of time in the water, which is why I'm coming out here today. There is a point to snorkel for turtles. And on my last day, I've got work to do this afternoon. But today, this morning, I love these little beach art installations. Very cool. You can see the amount of different corals that you can find very, very easily on the beach. These shells in particular. Idyllic. Honestly, if I was a different person, you can just make this look like the perfect island. Not mention any of the problems. Just show you the beauty that you can definitely skew to look like that's all there is. But the beauty is a little bit at the surface here. Very cute little cottages. So definitely I would recommend more staying on this side. It's more accessible. It's got the turtle snorkeling spot, which is where I'm walking to. It's got a ton of restaurants. And I believe the data connection is also better on this island. Some of the local boats, sparkles and sunshine, absolutely beautiful colors. The colors are more vibrant on this side and on the front. I believe that's because it is more shallow and perhaps a little bit less boat traffic on this side. So motorized vehicles are not allowed, but e-bikes are. And this is what this girl's driving. With grass on the back, they definitely know how to load or overload in Canadian standards. their bikes here. But that is an Asian thing. We have the Zen Spa here. So this is one of the few spots you can actually sit right by the beach and get your feet massaged with the views like this. Let's give you a look at the prices here. They are all different. So here, a massage is $225 for 90 minutes. I've got a foot massage for 1 hour is $150K. So that's $15, sorry. So you can get that spa experience. Hello. They've also got a pool, as most places do. A little bar, restaurant. Hello, hello.
Yes, YouTuber.
Very nice. And seating. I actually tried to take a video on my bike like that. I was very unsuccessful. So that's why we are walking. Way better. We are actually very close to my final destination of the turtle snorkeling point. We'll see if I actually go. It has gotten quite hot. This looks like it has some children's areas. So do you get my drift? The people that have been to Cozumel, to those types of places, this is very similar. It's built for tourists. It's all about the experience of the people that are here for a few days. I know there's some people that live here long term. It would be difficult for me. I wouldn't recommend it for a long term. Lombok is like right next door, and it is it's a beautiful, beautiful country. Not so busy, more authentic. Definitely jungles, Mount Rajani, real towns. You can get the real experience of this area, which you are not going to get here. This is not what it's built for. It is built for your 2 or 3 day holiday where you pop in, have a good time, and then pop back out. As I said, most people visit for 2 nights, 3 days. That is the standard. I'm one of the weird ones that stay longer, so everybody's like, well, why are you still here? Well, because you don't really get the full experience in 3 days. You get what you need to, but for me to come and do my travel itineraries, to write about the island, I do find you need to stay a minimum of 7 days. Honestly, probably more like 10 days to get the full experience, see all the different things. Otherwise, you're getting a snapshot in time, which even with, the 10 days, you're getting a snapshot of the season. I don't see the high season, and I don't see the low season. I am in the transitional period, which is actually the perfect time to visit. Sweating my eyeball. That's right, it's so hot. Did you see that? I'm doing like absolutely nothing other than walking, and I have so much sweat that it's actually pouring off my head into my eyeball. And when I wiped it away, you could see it being wiped away, and it's still more. So be careful what kind of sunscreen you use here, especially on your face, because it's going to drip into your eyeball and then you won't be able to see. So I'm looking for the little sign that says Turtle Point. Oh, I definitely have something in my eyeball now. But hence is some of the challenges of Gili Air. I don't know how you would get rid of that. but definitely constantly sweating. This is the first time, like I said, I've taken air conditioning in my life. I'm usually a fan girl, and I did it accidentally, or maybe past me was smart and said maybe he should try with the air conditioning here since it is April and things tend to be very, very hot. And I thank you past me that didn't remember, because I absolutely did need and do need the air conditioner here. A fan room would not be enough to keep me even able to be in my room. I've spent many a day and an afternoon in my cool air conditioned room, just trying to catch up on my sleep. Is this Turtle Point? I don't know, we got an arrow. And just kind of cool down. Being in the heat is exhausting, even if you're not doing much. I found that out in Thailand when it started reaching 42 and 42 degrees, 42 and 44 degrees. It was just you can't function in that kind of a heat. And that is not the heat that we have here. It's actually cooler here, believe it or not. But it's still too hot for me to function in the middle of the afternoon, which with the high humidity. So air conditioning, even if you're a fan person, I would highly recommend it if you're coming in high season here to the Gilis. Even the next place, I'm moving to Gili Mino tomorrow, which is the little island that actually I could stand up paddleboard to. I haven't. And it's just across the way. It's the middle island. It's the biggest island and the least populated. So I have high hopes that it is a little bit more authentic, a little bit less busy, and I will definitely report on that. Where are our turtle places? I'm gonna probably say it's anywhere here. Good morning.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you. So I think I missed the little turtle sign, but we are definitely halfway across the island now walking. It's taken me about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer with my stops. And this is, there we go. Morning. So this is one of the signs that I was looking for, is Turtle Point, and right next to it is places you can hire a mask and fins, bicycles, kayaks, and the boys to help you here. Hello. So let's take a look at the beach now that we're in the area. Some of this is held by retaining walls, and this is part of the area that is. Let's see, is there stairs down to the sea? I don't think so. It's just the retaining wall. Oh, there is stairs. Look at that. How cool is that? And then you can go swimming. There's a buoyed area. I don't know what that means. I think that's just for the boats. And you can go out looking for turtles here. Look at those views. That is Lombok. There's probably Mount Rajani in the background there. Beautiful.